Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. Today's video is about a submarine warfare game that is currently on early access on Steam. So this means this is no verification video as usual, rather a should I buy this advice. The game I am talking about is UBOAT, and the developers from Deepwater Studio are calling it a World War II submarine warfare survival sandbox simulator with crew management part. Yeah, this sounds a bit awkward, right? What you need to know is basically, you manage the crew, keep it fed and its spirits high, while researching upgrades for the boat and, of course, hunting allied shipping. And trying to survive the inevitable retaliation. Remember, German submariners' losses were the highest of all services in the Second World War. Before we continue, I first want to put out a massive thank you to Jack Ray, who has already supported this channel humongously in the past on Patreon and with direct book donations. He sent me the excellent book Battle of the Atlantic by Mark Milner, just right on time for this video. Thank you so very much. If you would like to support me too, please take a look at the links in the description of this video. Alright, let's begin. First things first, it's early access, so bugs are to be expected. And secondly, this is not a Silent Hunter successor, despite what the title says. It's part Silent Hunter, but so much more at the same time. What a lot of people fail to understand is that being a U-boat commander in the Second World War was not only about sinking ships. A huge aspect was actually to command your crew, and I think this is where this game does really surpass the more single-minded Silent Hunter series. Your crew is represented by multiple officers of 3 different classes: leader, radio man, and engineer. The leader spots for enemy ships, aims and fires your torpedoes and guns, plots your course, and disciplines the crew should one of them act undutiful. Yes, this does include execution. For example, the cook for burning the scrambled eggs.
Ein Matrose der Kriegsmarine ist stets wachsam. Du bringst Schande über unsere Besatzung. Nun erwartet dich die letzte Ehre in deinem kümmerlichen Leben. Der Tod, den dir ein Offizier der Kriegsmarine bringt.
Radiomen listen for HQ transmission, inform you about new targets, and report your successes back to the Befehlshaber der U-Boote. They also man the hydrophone if the submarine is submerged, and will act as medics if someone gets ill or injured. Of course, besides the hydrophone, there's also the radar later on. The engineers will take care of damage the submarines take as long as they have spare parts. They are also responsible for reloading torpedoes and doing maintenance on them, and of course also the engines, which decreases torpedo dodge chance and improves your speed. A lot of these tasks can be sped up if you assign additional crew members to the officer. At the moment, though, you can't assign more than 2 crew members to an officer without any skills in most cases, though the UI already shows that some jobs can be performed by far more. For example, the deck gun could be manned by up to 6 men, including the officer. It's just not possible yet. That does also explain why right now you are limited to 18 crew and a maximum of 7 officers, while a real Type 7C U-boat had a crew strength between 44 and 52 men. So much for the crew and its direct management, but that's not all. U-boat is about the life and fight for survival of a submarine crew, so there are other factors that influence your crew. First, there is the oxygen capacity of the U-boat, which is actually more of a mix between oxygen and carbon dioxide concentration merged into one factor. So there is a reason why running the diesel air compressor submerged will kill your crew. If your oxygen capacity gets too low, crew members might become ill or even pass out, in some cases leading to the death of the whole crew, which actually happened to me a few times. Damage to the batteries in combination with flooding will also lead to a rapid decrease of breathable air, as this releases toxic chlorine gas. To tackle this, the U-boat sports a ventilation system that, together with potassium absorbers, can scrub the air of CO2. This does not work with chlorine gas though, so this will force you to equip rebreathers and surface to let the ventilation vent all the gas until your engineers are able to fix the batteries. If they are able to do it. Another very important part is discipline, while I would like to see it renamed to morale. It shows how high the spirits of your crew are. If a lot of them are assigned to help officers, the food is one-sided, the U-boat got heavily damaged, or you have been in battle for an extended time, morale will steadily drop to the point where crew members might break under the stress. Outside of combat, you are able to tackle this with varied and high-quality dishes like sausages and exotic fruits, though I'm missing beer here somewhat. Also, playing cards and radio music, running proper lighting, and disciplining loafing crew members will help. During combat, your options are limited to slowing down the morale decrease, as food, playing cards, and music are deactivated. And I think this makes sense because it's pretty loud, I would guess. Though, for example, sinking an enemy ship increases your discipline quite a bit again. Switching to combat lighting, blue for silent running and less oxygen usage, or red during surface night attacks, which helps you with night vision, will help a bit. But sometimes this is not enough and you might be forced to put down a breaking crew member with your fist, or, in extreme cases, even with your gun. I already mentioned food that helps you keep up the morale, or discipline as it is called, but it of course keeps your crew fat too, as your crew can actually starve, and this is rather important. Besides that, a malnutritioned or even starving crew will develop illnesses to the point where your boat could experience an epidemic disease like tuberculosis spreading and hospitalizing or killing a good portion of your men. Managing battery capacity and diesel fuel is also really important, as without them you are quite literally dead in the water. Same for compressed air that you need to surface. Without it you are, again, well, literally dead underwater. Sorry. Now, for the stuff you really want to do in a game about German U-boats, blow up enemy ships. Well, first you need weapons, and those are of course the infamous German G7 torpedoes, in its two early war variants, G7A-T1 and G7E-T2. Just as in reality you will encounter quite some problems with these, especially the T2, so preheating them is really important. For everyone who doesn't know this, the Germans had the so-called Torpedo-Krise, torpedo crisis, right at the beginning of the war until late 1940. A lot of torpedoes did not explode, went well below their targets, or exploded early because of faulty torpedoes and fuses. The US Navy encountered a similar problem. According to some historians, the German U-boats would have been 50 to 70% more devastating in the first 2 years of the war if their torpedoes would have worked. The carrier HMS Ark Royal and the battleship HMS Nelson would most likely have been sunk in the first 2 months of the war hadn't it been for premature explosions and duds. Anyway, sadly you can't set speed, depth and type of fuse yet. The user interface already gives you buttons for it, but they are not working for the moment. Aiming torpedoes works in 2 ways: letting your crew do the job, spot the target and calculate the torpedo course according for you, or you can acquire the data necessary for the calculations yourself. Actually doing the calculation then is not possible at the moment, but it might get implemented later on. Besides the torpedoes, you of course have the deck gun and the anti-aircraft autocannon. Both of them you can either fire yourself or let the crew do the job, just as with the torpedoes. But remember, the 8.8 cm gun is merely there to finish off damaged ships. After upgrading the conning tower with additional AA guns, you will actually be able to man the other AA weaponry with sailors assigned to the officers manning the main AA gun, making your U-boat quite a nasty target for sole enemy planes. And besides that, high explosive AA ammunition is quite capable of setting freighter decks on fire. So much on weapons. What about your submarine in general? Well, it is a highly detailed recreation of a true Type 7C. In some places it has been changed a bit to better fit the side view. For example, the galley is on the starboard side of the boat, while in reality it was located on the port side. Every section of the ship contains lovingly placed details that you are able to explore in first-person perspective, and of course you are able to seal them off in case of a leak. Which is, by the way, really important. Sometimes you just won't be able to repair the leaks quick enough, so better to close the compartment and keep the boat alive until everything else is fixed, and you are able to hopefully manage the water streaming in from the leaking section, so your engineers can go in and close the holes in the hull. And yes, the game does have a proper flooding mechanic. If the water in one part of the boat reaches the height of the hatch to the next section, it will spill over. And better hope the water does not reach the fuse panel, or, as earlier mentioned, a damaged battery. Alright, while talking about AA guns, I mentioned upgrading. Well, yes, this is of course a thing. You are able to send officers ashore to research certain techs like improved torpedoes, new conning towers with more armor and AA guns, the famous snorkel, and even an improved toilet. Yes, really. At least one German U-boat sank because it was flooded through the toilet while submerged. It's true, look it up. In reaction, they did actually invent an improved underwater closet. At the moment, these research options are really quick to unlock, but this will of course change with the finished games. As you can see, a lot of the locations are on enemy territory at the beginning of the war, and most will be locked until a certain date. Nonetheless, a lot of them will change your way to complete your missions quite a bit, especially the Zaunkönig homing torpedo late in the war. Of course, you might have noticed that the simulation aspect of the game isn't that deep. At the moment, that is. Some things will get changed by the developers during early access. Research is accelerated right now, as I said. Naval bases are somewhat bare-bound placeholders. Many ship types, planes, and coastal installations haven't been implemented yet. But truth be told, this game is not a full simulation in every aspect. As weren't the Silent Hunter games at their release, I might add. This aspect was always improved upon with mods. Very good mods. So true full-blown Silent Hunter 3 GWX mod simulator nuts that like to use manual navigation, manual enigma decoding, or completely self-calculated torpedo attacks shall not despair. Deepwater Studios has promised us a game that will be fully moddable. In fact, the mod tools will be released pretty soon if everything goes according to plan, which means modders will take part in the early access development process. I know there are already Silent Hunter modding veterans standing by at the ready to fully commit to modifying this game as soon as they are able to do so, and launch a full spread of mods from their forward torpedo tubes the second the developers give them the los order. Since I have been working on this video for a while, just let me quickly list some features that were added to the game in recent patches, as there are maintenance times for major upgrades, resupplying and rearming, vacations for the crew, including a personal visit to the Eagle's Nest and the Führer himself if you were successful enough during your patrol. With the current beta patch, more historically accurate depth charges, a more authentic discipline system with reduction through close explosions and boost through sinkings, as I mentioned earlier. And of course, a lot of bug fixing was done too. Well, as you might have noticed, I'm already quite hooked to this game and actually supported it on Kickstarter years ago. I absolutely love it, but would I recommend it? Well, if you don't expect to get the full World War II's U-boat survival simulation experience from the moment on you buy it, and accept that it is not done yet, yes, I do. If you want a fully done game with no bugs, fully finished campaign, etc., I don't. It depends on you. While I already had tremendous fun with it, still existing bugs and constant save game resets due to major patches might exhaust your patience. If you can handle this, go and get it, even if it is only to support the developers that finally give us a proper World War II submarine game. If you don't, do like I probably. I'm usually playing the newest patch for a while and then wait until the next one comes out, so that's also an option. Alright, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If this was the case, please leave a like, as this greatly helps my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. In any case, I hope you had a good time, and see you on the next video.